Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're back over on the YouTube account and you can see that we have crushed progression in here again. We are into chapter 65 right now. But in today's video, we want to talk about the spreadsheet that we've been using and also the hero builds that we've been looking at. Now you can see we're at 2.4 trillion combat rating at this point, but it has also gotten to the point where a lot of heroes within AFK Arena are requiring that plus 40 signature item, unfortunately, to work. And we're seeing that ringing true for heroes like the Awakened version of Thorin, where a plus 40 signature item is really the basis of the damage, and the damage that we're seeing the increase. When he starts the battle, he does go into the Storm Avatar state without using the Stormblade, which amplifies the damage that he's going to do. Also places him on the enemy side of the battlefield and starts the Thunderbolts overall. So again, we are not seeing as big of a gap with this hero than we are with other ones. Now, Thorin particularly, like I'd said, when you get to a plus 40 signature item, because of the ability, the innate ability at the beginning, it is really making a little bit of a difference on his build. We talked about it a little bit in the live stream, but when you look at heroes like Rendell, this is a hero that overall getting him to a plus 40 is really the difference between doing an exceptional amount of damage and doing kind of a base amount of damage. When we start looking at the difference between what they can do, you're talking hundreds of billions of damage that this hero is putting out if you do have him at the plus 40 signature item, which is the optimal build. When you look at the Soul Surge right here, increasing the magical pierce and the physical pierce by 35 points. Now, 35 points overall might not seem like a lot, but when you think of it in mathematic terms, 35%, and even looking here at his skills and abilities, 35% of that physical pierce is going to add, and it does add another 35% damage. When you think of, again, the multiplication factor, the higher you're really driving up this physical pierce, even if we added our 35 to here, you're talking, what, 46%? So he is doing 46% more damage. And of course, that's kind of crazy to think because you're doing almost 50% more damage. Now, again, that is where in transition, when you look at the before and after of the plus 40 signature item and not having that plus 40 signature item, this is probably one of the heroes that we're seeing an absolute kind of before and after game changer. And I know Mesmer kind of pointed this out. He sent some screenshots over on Discord, but we're looking at, again, around 300 billion compared to 500 plus billion just getting a plus 40 signature item on a hero like this, making it for Rendell or Randall that is absolutely required to have him built out to that plus 40 signature item. And we're also seeing the same with Nox. Nox, not as much, but getting the plus 40 signature item in here is what is going to drive his damage amplification, which of course is huge when it comes to his ability to maximize the damage in a lot of different game modes. So when he applies a mark, if the target is at max sax or is dispirited, then Nox deals an extra damage 100%. Not really big about that one of the attack rating, but increases the damage to the target taken by 10% for a 40%, or excuse me, a 60% increase. That is one of the really big things that we're seeing with this hero. And of course, when we start looking bigger picture, since the introduction of the plus 40 signature item, it has really made a big difference. So again, I want to hop over and kind of show you this spreadsheet that we've been using, and we've been using for a lot of utility, for a lot of tier lists, for a lot of the hero builds. So I wanted to share it with you. I know a lot of you have probably seen it at this point, but let me hop over and I want to bring this up and show you kind of what we're talking about right here, because this is the actual spreadsheet. Now you'll notice right off the bat, it is in Russian. I know going between the English version, I've translated a lot of this, and I do have a spreadsheet that is kind of translated. But when we start looking at heroes, and this is the column that I want you to pay attention to. When you start looking at really the builds within here, we have this column E, we have F, we have G. Now E is the basic build. That is really having the hero just unlocked. For a majority of these, you can see some of them do require a plus 20 signature item. That is the very, very basic build. When you look at this F column, there is an optimal build. Now, this is where it comes into effect. When you start looking at the optimal build, also looking at this plus 40, that is a 40 signature item. That is the 9 of 9 furniture. That is a 67 engraving. And then right down here, these are the symbols that you actually want to build the engraving up. And I believe that one is haste, that is attack, and that is magical pierce. Again, just because I've translated this a couple times. And you also see overall, they do score a utility, which is the reason why Liberta is still number one when it comes to utility based on all of the game modes, and they break it down mathematically into a lot of different places. it is really important and really imperative to maximizing the heroes. Now, when it comes to the optimal build, that is this G column right here. Now you'll notice we are at a 40, 27, 67. So not only keeping that plus 40 signature item, getting a 27 furniture, so building it above and beyond. Now, when it comes to this whale build or this large build, this is really when you try to min-max heroes and really making a big difference within there and how they are being built. But you'll notice right off the bat, when it comes to a lot of these heroes and a lot of these plus 40 signature items, even optimal plus 40, we have a plus 40. Even looking at Liberta, now Liberta, I have it a plus 30, but you can see there are kind of two optimal builds in here. If you get it to a 40, that does take the engraving to 65. So building it a little bit above, and again, with land 40 or a 30 signature item, really optimal, but of course you can go a little bit higher. But you'll notice that as we continue down this list, and you start thinking of, yep, that's the optimal build, but you can also build the optimal to a 40 signature item. Then you start getting into heroes as kind of a newer release. So when you think of heroes like Aurelia, right here, it is a plus 40 signature item. That is the effectiveness of the hero. That is the optimal build for the hero, is that plus 40 signature item, which again, right off the bat, makes it very easy because of course you got to have the resources to build them up to a 40. If you want to see this optimal build, then of course it goes to a 67 as well. Again, I believe that is the haste aspect, and then adding some attack in there. Overall, you start seeing it as we get, again, newer heroes, getting the plus 40 and looking the effectiveness of even looking at Leica, looking at Gavis, plus 40 signature item, plus 40 signature item. Then we get into Thorin, and then we get into Nox. Now, both of these, you can see they are relatively new, but plus 40 signature item. Even looking at the basic build, so looking at this column at our basic build is a plus 40 signature item. That is where, in the only place that you really see Nox shine. Now, for you and me and a majority of players, they don't have the ability to build this hero up to a plus 40 signature item. So a lot of the effectiveness is not there with the basic build because you're not going to see the damage. You're not going to get that 60% boost when it comes to the damage rating in there, which again makes a really big difference. Now, when you start looking at the engraving mats, when you start looking at a couple other things, you can see the engraving does come in important, even looking right here at the Awakened version of Thorin. 30 is a basic build. So again, 30960. Pretty much very basic build for any of the Awakened heroes. But when you look at the optimal build like we have right here, it goes right back to that plus 40 signature item, Nox plus 40 signature item. And of course, when you start getting a little bit further, a lot of these are 30s. When you look at the Awakened, most of them are 40. But even here, a 40, a 40, a 40, a 40. When you start looking at more, again, of these optimal builds, and it also says in here, you know, if you want Randall to do the damage within formations, you have to have the plus 40 signature item. If not, he is not going to do the damage, kind of keeping him at this basic level that we've kind of seen before. But it has come and really started to be so prevalent with these plus 40 signature items that you'll notice 40, 40, 40, 40, 40. As we continue down here, even looking at a plus 40 here, it's crazy the amount of heroes that do require even the basic build. Even looking here with Misha, it is a 67 engraving, which again, when you look at the engraving, here's a 72, a 67, a plus 40 signature item right here. The cost and really the build of these heroes themselves have continued to just literally amplify on how high you have to build them and how high and really how effective you can make them overall. But when we start, again, kind of going through here, even a lot of the newer heroes, plus 40 seems to fall into a lot of them. Even thinking of heroes like here with Adrian and Elise, overall the plus 40, it doesn't really work without the plus 40. And again, we're starting to see that. And we feel like even with Skyland that is coming up on Tuesday, we are going to see the exact same thing where a plus 40 signature item is going to be required to maximize the damage in there. So guys, this is a spreadsheet again that I wanted to share with you guys. Now this is going out as a members only video at this time. That way you can kind of check it. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put a link to share this down below so you can actually check it out, bookmark it, make sure you utilize this as new heroes come up. This is one of the only documents that I still see that is being updated for AFK Arena. So guys, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.